Hey everybody, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. If you've been with us for more than a minute, you know we're taking some scrap trucks, putting them together and trying to make one decent single axle Ford Super Duty dump truck out of the whole ordeal. This was the previous video. We finally got this engine mated in with this frame from the F350 onto the Super Duty frame. But you'll notice between the two parts trucks, the bed, the cab, the chassis, the axle, the engine, we're missing some crucial things along the frame. It's gonna take a third parts truck, and today we're going to get it. This rig all covered up first. Oh, my tarp's got a hole in it, huh? Interesting. It just keeps pumping. Yeah, it just keeps. We're stealing Dirt Perfect's trailer, by the way. Borrow should be the word I use. We're borrowing Dirt Perfect's trailer. And we just back up till we feel contact. Real gentle like. Because it's a ring and we'll push it off to the side. That'll do her. I'll do this one. Now that's a fancy trailer over there. What's he doing with that rig? Give the brakes a squeeze, make sure they work. Oh yeah. Got brakes. Let's go. We gotta do some repairs to the truck real quick though. Well, we got fuel, we got the trailer. One last thing we need to do right quick before we leave. I got this real fancy exhaust pipe securement going on. Okay, got to see where that broke. Now we're just gonna do a quick weld on this one, and it's the same on the other side. I used copper wire because that's what I had laying around. You're not gonna believe this, but eventually it just, melted into and broke. To be honest, I've kind of exhausted my do the right thing energy on the truck build itself. That I've been neglecting this rig just a little bit. I mean, this one's held up fine. No concerns on this one. Nothing like fixing your truck so you can go get a parts truck for another truck you're building. Yep. Get the battery hooked back up. I got all kinds of come-along, straps, chains, ramps, blocks of wood, jacks sitting in the back. I think we just need to check fluids, make sure we're good on everything, which we should be. Brakes are getting squeaky. All right, we are loaded. We are slow rolling it home. I'll show you when we get it back. I didn't film any of the loading. I'm not a big fan of filming when things are going longer than I expect because he was a very nice fella. He was very patient with me, and it definitely took more effort than I think both of us were expecting. So, heck yeah, brother. Look at that rig. Wish I had more room on the trailer. It's the following morning. We're getting ready to get offloaded. The idea, I'd like to nose it in right here so we could go axle and over. Next thing, we gotta pull it back just a little bit to get this up on the tilt deck so we can get that tilt deck released. I'm a little worried about the clearance on the fender on the other side, but yeah. So the backhoe is going to come into play at some point anyway. That should work okay for me. I can come right in across here and hopefully lift that bed off with the backhoe. Today's daddy-daughter date day though, so we got to get to the caves, go grab some dinner, that kind of thing. I'll meet you back here on, let's say Monday. Let me take a gander in here real quick, and then I think we're gonna have some questions to answer. Where, maybe down here, are you? There you are. Oh, maybe, there we go. Oh yeah, we're missing some things, but I don't think we're missing enough things that it won't run. This is a 94F Super Duty. It's got a 7.3 IDI in it. Guy says it doesn't run, but it is free. We'll test that theory later. This is the main thing we're after. It's this rear axle. Now, a lot of people asked why we didn't use the rear axle off the other truck. Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's a heavier axle. These are 11,000 pound GVW rear axles on these Super Duties. The axle that was on that other dually that I had, that was a Sterling axle, and it's a 5,000 pound, I think, 5,000 pound GVW. Quite a bit heavier axle, and with my reputation, I need a heavier axle. In fact, the main reason we're switching everything over to that Super Duty platform is just a heavier truck overall. GVW on that Super Duty frame is 14,500 pounds. Quite a bit more than what that F350 one-ton dually was set up for. It also has some really fancy features, like rear disc brakes. Oh yeah. Which means we're going to be running the power boost system that we took off that Super Duty cab instead of the vacuum system that we took off the original F350 cab. So we can run those brakes. That'll give us more braking power and just more consistent braking power as far as those disc brakes go. It's just going to give us a better setup overall for what we're looking for. I paid $2,500 for this thing. You might be thinking that's a lot, but if you track down one of those axles with the springs and the wheels, you're going to be anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 depending on where you're going with it and the condition that it's in. And my goal is that we can part the rest of this truck out and pay for the whole thing. We bought it for $25. I want to try to part it out for $25 and still get all the components off of it that I need. That's what we did to get that cab and that frame with this front axle. We sold stuff off the original F350 we got for free for $400 and bought that setup for $400. Now obviously we have more parts in it than what we paid for it, but the parts truck still ended up coming out for free, or coming out as a wash. I'm kind of hoping we can do the same thing with this and essentially end up with a free axle and driveline components. Step one, I want to go ahead and get this bed off and out of the way because that's going to be for sale. And the good news is we've already got the transmission sold, so we're already down quite a bit. This cab, that can't be good. Where's my PTO? Oh, over there. I'm on the wrong side. Okay. I need you to trust me when I say I'm not missing the irony of taking this truck apart whenever it literally has pretty much everything I need, minus a dump bed and a good cab and a good engine. But I'm also pretty committed to the other setup already. So here we are. Also, I'm not a gloves guy, but I'm trying to be more conscious about taking care of myself, and it can't be good to soak all this stuff up into my skin. So here we are trying some new things. All right, I found a secret portal. It's up here. Okay. There we go. Yep, there it is. That's good. I like that. Okay. All right, so that's gonna be my supply. And I see the return from the tank, but I don't want to mess with that. That's just a big old hose. I need the return out of the valve body. Looks like the reservoir is built into this rig here. All right, so here's the, where are you guys at? Are you guys on top of the bed right now? That is inconvenient. Oh, good news, I found the line I need. I just got to figure out It comes out of the valving right here through this filter back into the tank, and then there's a hose on the bottom that gravity feeds back to the pump. I had an idea. What if, instead of doing it that way, we just try to get the thing running? We're going to try anyway, and if it runs, we'll just run it off the PTO and test it. That would make more sense. He said it didn't run. Looks like they've investigated the fuel system a little bit. I'm going to drop this tank so I got better access to it. Oh, come on now. Oh, really? No. I'm getting extension. Almost sounds like the ocean in there. Oh, the filler neck. Yeah. I have mixed emotions about my plans. Let's see what's going on here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this truck should have a mechanical fuel pump on it. I wanted to make sure I didn't see some newfangled electronic pump they put on the end of it. But it just looks like a pickup tube, so that's good. But I'm just going to pull it out, and then we can put the pickup tube in a thing of fuel. I'm definitely no mechanic by any means, but I do have access to YouTube, and I binge watched a lot last night on the 7.3. So if I'm understanding correctly, we got a fuel pump down here. Fuel comes in this line, goes to the pump, comes up this hard line into the filter, runs from there down to here. But I don't know, is this like a high pressure pump? High pressure versus low pressure down there? Low pressure gets it up to here, and then maybe high pressure for the injectors? Who knows? A scientist somewhere, but not this fella. Shutdown solenoid should be that. I'll have to play with that a little bit. Throttle linkage, and then return line. They cut the return for some reason. I don't know if they were trying to bleed something or what they were doing, but in theory, it looks like I can push this Schrader valve in here. Look, I gave up on the gloves already. Push this Schrader valve in here, and if we get fuel coming out of that, we can bleed the system that way. And then from there, we can do each injector. And once we tighten those down, we should be able to get fuel out of here. There's a lot of just stuff hanging around. I'm not sure what it all does. But if my basic understanding of this is correct with the mechanical pump, as long as we get fuel to the system and we have decent compression. But somebody abandoned this engine for a reason. And then no power to close. What's this do? Does this make any sounds? That also makes sounds. I bet both of those have to have power for this to be on. Well, let's just see if she even spins. We got 12 volts. This little fella here, although it's not great for a lot of continuous cranking, puts out more cranking amps right off the bat. So we'll see if this can at least get it to turn. The only other thing I know to do is maybe just bring the 2500 over here and hook it up just in case one of my batteries is not working right. If that doesn't work, we'll get down there and try to put a nut on the camshaft itself and see if that turns. I'm glad I didn't buy it for the engine. We're on the nut here. Let's give her a go. See if she turns. She turned, she's just not super happy. Let me give her a few more cranks here. Like it moves, but she's crusty. You know, like it doesn't feel great. There's my diesel kit. So you see the new starter here? Here's what I'm thinking. I think they had some issues with it starting, so they threw a new starter on, hoping that was the issue. they found out it wasn't the issue, and then they started digging into it. That's my guess. But like I said, I didn't buy this truck for the engine. The guy said it turned over, and I thought, well, it'd be a bonus if she runs. I could sell her as a running engine. I think I'm just going to get the parts I want off this front end, which will be this front clip mainly, and a couple hoses off the power steering, and then we'll just sell it as a non-running IDI with a cab to somebody. So I'm going to disconnect this hose, and we're going to switch it out with a different hose. Birds are chirping. That's nice. That looks like it's only temporary if it works kind of repair. We're rated at 200 PSI. Yeah. Okay. I've got the return hose off of this pump, actual pressure hose. Looks like she's going to be close to the same size. We can, oh, it definitely is on this end, isn't it? Oh yeah, NFPT. That'll be perfect. So we got the return hooked up, ready to go, and this is the supply hooked up, ready to go. I got to get a few fittings so I can get this to connect up to the backhoe so we can run on the third function and test it. But it's all connected up and above, which means we should be good to go ahead and get this bed off. And that way we can set this thing on the ground and I don't have to get back underneath it to try to get those hoses connected up for testing purposes. Looks like they got plates there on the back and right here. I'm sure there's going to be a little wiring as well, but let's try to get all these bolts out first. So these here put a pretty good fight, and I don't have a whole heck of a lot of room on the inside. I think I'm just going to take the torch and just torch those bolts off from the outside here. The only thing is I can't quite see, but I guess that's okay. Oh, if I look on the, wow, if I look on the camera, I can see really well. There's just a shadow from where I'm sitting. I can't see anything. We're going by feel, and I don't think that's the best move. I think that's it there. Oh yeah. Okay, those three are out. I think that's all that's holding it down. There might be a couple wires and things like that we'll have to navigate. That is heavy. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm picking them. I feel like I'm picking the whole frame up. What have I been? My forks? Yeah. Oh, I broke everything. Shoot. See if we can get that out of the way. Yeah, the fact that it's all attached right here, you know, that's kind of missed that key component. It makes sense now that I look at it. Here, you see? Oh. You know, we got this, everything bolted on this bracket here. On the forks, I bent my rod, which I never did fix that. Of course, I knew that. The biggest thing is this weld broke, and we bent this steel up, and it slipped off. And when it slipped off, it caught this, and all the weight was on that by itself, and it bent that around. Well, that's a little bit of an issue. But nothing a hammer, a welder, and a torch can't fix. Let's get these off first. I don't know why my reaction is just to throw the striker every time, but a lot easier when you can see. I've been telling myself I need to build a set of heavy-duty forks for a long time, and I keep putting it off. After editing the first part of this video, I realized I was kind of forgetting a crucial step. So here's what I did. Let me show you on the starter over here. This is out of a 7.3 as well. I took this wire, which runs to the starter. To take this out of the equation, I took it off of that and hooked it straight up into there with this on it. So we're basically running power straight into the starter, which also takes that starter solenoid out of the equation. So basically straight 12 volts and nothing happens at all. No clicking, no turning, no funny sounds, no funny smells. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on. We got 12 volts going straight to that starter. But I'm gonna start getting this transmission out because like I said, the transmission's already sold. And I picked the hoses up this morning to get this hooked up to the backhoe so we can test the bed on it. I have zero reason to want this thing to run other than it's just personal at this point. I didn't buy it for the engine. I bought it without a non-running engine. I didn't include that in the value whenever I considered parting everything out. But there's no reason that an engine this simple, I shouldn't be able to get going. We've got other priorities, but if time allows, we may dig into a little bit in the next video.